my favourite player from each of the 20 current Premier League teams. Let's go. Starting it off with Arsenal. How can it not be the star boy, Bukayo Saka? What a phenomenal player he is. He is edging closer to that world-class label for me personally. I think he's English. It's beautiful to see a young youngster coming through the Arsenal ranks. Started off as a left-back, converted to a winger. Quite similar to the Gareth Bale story. Could we see someone with a career as pinnacle as him? I don't know. I doubt it, but you can never rule it out, especially with a player as technically gifted as Bukayo Saka. Going forward, he's not even that bad defending. The man can simply do it all. Second of all, Aston Villa. Bit of a difficult one. I do like technically gifted players like Buendia, but for me it's Ollie Watkins, and I'd actually take him at Spurs. I think Watkins is a very good scorer. Yeah, he's scoring a lot of goals this year. He does seem to go on patches of form. Sometimes he'll be amazing, sometimes he won't be as good. But for me, Ollie Watkins, he's just a good player. He just seems like a nice bloke as well, down to earth. I actually saw him score when I went to Tottenham Villa last year. He scored, and the away end was one of their best away limbs I've seen. They like broke onto the pitch, celebrating, flares going off. It was limbs. Ollie Watkins, cracking player. Moving on to Bournemouth, I'm probably going to go Billing. I think Billing is actually a really good player, and although Bournemouth have really struggled this year, I think he's been one of the shining lights in their team. And I think he's a good player, and I think he's due a big move. I could just see him at a team like Palace, or even maybe a higher profile team. I think he's a really good player, Billing. A really good player. Brentford, it's difficult because I do like Raya and also love Toney. I'm going to go Ivan Toney because for me, I think he's one of the most underrated strikers in the world, and I genuinely list him as that. He's the best penalty taker in the world. He's just cold. He's just hard, isn't he? I really like him. It's great to see all these like younger English players because England have got such a bright future upcoming. But yeah, Ivan Toney, I think he's an absolute player. His composure is unreal, and he's just a phenomenal striker. Brighton and Hove Albion, how can you not say Mitoma? I honestly, this is going to be a bit outrageous, yeah, but watching him gives me like original vibes of Eden Hazard. Like the way he has a football, he dribbles so elegantly, it's actually so satisfying to watch. I think Mitoma is a top quality player, and I think he is going to be playing in the Champions League next year with a team. I don't think he'll be Brighton, but I do think he's going to leave in the summer. He is just too good to be true for Brighton. And that's saying something because Brighton are a fantastic side. Chelsea. It's between Thiago Silva and João Felix. I think João Felix is one of those players, he's just so nice to watch. But I'm actually going to go for Thiago Silva. What I love about Thiago Silva is, for me, when I used to play football, obviously I don't play anymore because I had quite a lot of injuries and nasty injuries as well. Thiago Silva was a player that pace does not determine his game. He is defensively probably in the top 3 best centre-backs in the world. Physically, he's not amazingly strong. It's just his defensive IQ is second to none. He's world class. Crystal Palace. I think it's between two. I know people would say Zaha, nah, he's a wank stain. For me, it's Eze and Elise. Elise and Eze, they are two of the best technical players in the Premier League. Both of them, I'm going to go Elise because I just love Elise. Obviously, I love him at Tottenham so much because I like how he can play right wing, left wing, and even play like an attacking midfield role. Similar with Eze, who can play similar positions. He's very cultural in those kind of elements where he can play all round the front line. But I just think Elise brings that something different, and he's so exciting to watch. He's amazing. Everton, you got to back the Three Lions. Jordan Pickford, cracking player, cracking goalkeeper. Would definitely take him at Tottenham. He does have a mistake in him. Yes. Oh, let me just wipe the water off my windscreen. He does have a mistake in him, but the vast majority of goalkeepers do. But I feel like he plays with quite a bad back line, where if he came to a bigger side with a better back line, I think he'd just show you how good he is and how levels he is above a lot of the goalkeepers in the Premier League. Cracking player. Fulham, I've got to go for Willian. Of course I'm pulling your leg, you stupid boy. Willian, he's a rat! Rat! No, in all seriousness, I'd probably go Paulinho, the CDM, the Portuguese defensive midfielder. Most tackles in the Premier League this season. He is not partial to an absolute long-range screamer. And I just love him at Tottenham. I'm not going to lie. He's just a great player. Leeds, I'm actually going to go for a player who I think is very, very good. And that's Jack Harrison. I think I really like watching him. He's a weirdo because he looks a bit dodgy. I don't know why. I think he looks dodgy when I look at him. But he doesn't look like he'd be a good footballer. He looks like the kind of guy that somehow has got a 10 out of 10 misses, but he treats her like shit. I won't say that on YouTube. He does things to her, you know. He has a Stella or two, we could say. But he just gets the ladies. But he's so good at football. So good. He shouldn't be playing for Leeds. He's better than Leeds. He's genuinely like a top 6 team. Leicester, it's got to be my boy, James Maddison. What a fucking player. He is one of the people that Tottenham need right now. That creative outlet, finding an Eriksen replacement 15 years later, it feels. That is literally what we lack, a creative midfielder, a set-piece specialist as well. You know, Harry Kane's taking the free kicks. He don't even clear the first man. Even if we were playing against 8-year-olds, he still wouldn't clear the first man. He'd probably kill an 8-year-old, hitting him straight in the face. But James Maddison is so, so good. And how there's a chance, I'm not saying they will, there's a chance he could go down to the Championship is just one of the most criminal things since 9/11. Liverpool, James Milner, he looks like me uncle. Good on you, Uncle Mark. Man City, I'm actually going to go for Jack Grealish. Bit of an interesting one. I just find it interesting, you know, how much hate he gets. But I think Jack Grealish is a really good player. Like, when that game I think it was at the Emirates when they played Arsenal, and he scored the winning goal, and he was just so good. I know the amount of times people are like, oh, he's overrated. You're not overrated because of your price tag, because a player can't really distribute how much they are worth. They can only distribute what they're like on the pitch. Do they get good performances? And that's exactly what Jack Grealish does, consistently giving us good performances. Jack Grealish is a top quality player. Man United, I've got to go for Marcus Rashford, because who else is going to feed my kids next year? Newcastle United, I'm actually going to go for Kieran Trippier. He was one of my favourites when he was at Tottenham. I always rated Trippier, and I was pretty disgusted by the way he left, because if you actually watch an interview, Kieran actually said he never wanted to leave Spurs, and he actually got pushed out the door by Daniel Levy. So for me, that is one of the biggest mistakes we've done, because look, he's been the best right back in the league this year, and I'll never understand why we got rid of him, because he is genuinely a fantastic fullback. Fantastic. One of the best free kick takes in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest, I'm going to go for my boy, Serge Aurier. I've actually met him a couple of times as well. Like, when I've been to Tottenham games, I like sitting at the front where you can like meet the players. Now, I got a couple of pictures of Aurier. I'm not going to show you that because I've got a long hair and I just look like a tramp. And he's just funny. He's a lovely lad and he's so funny. And you see him in the dressing room, he just looks like a fella, a right chap, just a bit of a laugh, innit? And I do think he was actually quite underrated when he was at Tottenham. I don't think he was that bad. He had tendencies to give away penalties. Yeah, he was a bit rash. But, I mean, part of the giving away the penalties, defensively, he wasn't bad. And going forward, he was actually pretty good. And for Nottingham Forest, he's actually been half decent this year. Serge Aurier is an underrated footballer. Southampton, I'm going to have to go for the best free kick taker ever. Is that the most outrageous comment ever? I genuinely think he is the best free kick taker of all time. He is so good. James Ward-Prowse. Say the name. He's a cracking player. I honestly think he's absolutely amazing. And I would love to see him at Spurs. And especially Southampton are going down. They are going down. And I want them to go down because of that 3-3. It's pissed me off. It's ruined the last couple of weeks for me. And now I'm living miserable. What can I say? He is so good. And he's so nice to watch as well. I remember when I went to the Tottenham game against Southampton at White Hart Lane last season. He single-handedly won him the game. Tottenham, I'm going to go for the best striker in the Premier League, the best striker in the world. I don't even really have to talk about him, is Harry Kane. I don't think we will ever see a better player at Tottenham Hotspur for how long, for the longevity, for everything. He's the highest Tottenham goal scorer of all time, the highest England goal scorer of all time, soon to become the highest Premier League goal scorer of all time. He is one of the all-time greats. West Ham United, none of them. Wolves. I'm actually going to go Ruben Neves, you know. I think Ruben Neves is quality. For me, I love watching like the midfield type players. I think they play such good fluid football, and Ruben Neves is one of them. And oh my days, that man is bloody partial to an absolute honker screamer. He's a great player. And he looks about 40, but he's actually quite young. I think he's about 24 or 25 or 26. He's around that age. And he is due a big move to a Champions League club. And I'd love to see him in the Champions League.